Hi, I'm Thomas D, and welcome to this Q3 Editor's Picks. I've been joined by Rob Cockerill. This is slightly later than usual, but I think I speak for us both when I say it's been a busy time at Gasworld.
Absolutely.
What have we interrupted today, Rob?
Well, you're absolutely right. It has been a really busy period, not just at gasworld, but for the whole industry. I think we can all appreciate that. But yes, today we are actually in the studio recording or getting ready to record a webinar for our sister H2 brand, hence the branded shirt.
And we're looking forward to doing that. But right now, let's go through your top picks for Q3.
Absolutely.
Pick one. What was it?
Well, appropriately given the H2 webinar we're about to do, this is a story about India and its hydrogen aspirations and green hydrogen aspirations, more to the point. We saw the India, I think it's the India Hydrogen Alliance, IH2A, announce that plans to create 25 national green hydrogen projects and I think 5 national hydrogen hubs by 2025. So a huge statement of intent. And of course, we've not long had a SNAP summit for H2 to discuss those Indian aspirations.
Absolutely, and an interesting Snap Summit that was. So now we go on to your second pick. We rewind to July. This was a CO2 story, a very big topic for Q3. Tell us about this one.
Absolutely, I felt we had to pick this one. I mean, the CO2 market is an absolute hotbed right now of not so much activity, but headlines and discussion and shortages. As we all know, and as has been trending across the gasworld website and the magazine pages in the last quarter, we had to pick this. It's been one of the biggest stories, and yes, the US has been through a period of CO2 shortages. We know we've covered this a lot, but it's about a different dynamic this time. We saw some contamination in the CO2 sourcing, and that's led to an already tight market being pushed to the brink.
And we'll be hearing more of your picks about CO2 shortages, but for your third pick, we're staying in the US, and President Biden grabs this headline.
He does. It's a $52 billion CHIPS Act I think we're talking about here. Yeah, a huge development for the electronics sector in the US and the supply chain, more to the point. We've heard all of the calls to action on this from the industry. You know, we've had exclusives in terms of on air on our webinars, but we've also had exclusives in print and online with companies such as electronic fluorocarbons calling for this action, calling for these steps to be taken to bolster and really step up the electronic supply chain. So great to see that get signed in. It went through various stages, and obviously the Senate, and then President Biden himself has signed it in. For
sure, great to see. Now we're going to return to CO2. This one surrounds UK CO2 shortages and the Billingham plant halting its ammonia production.
Yep, as we said, we've seen a lot of CO2 headlines in the last quarter, and in fact the whole year. I mean, we could probably rewind to September last year when we saw all of the shortages rearing their head again. The picture in Europe is just as challenged as it has been in the US or North America. We've seen all of these problems with ammonia, margins and plants going down in the last 12 months, a very challenged position generally for the sector. And we've seen this news that the Billingham plant is temporarily, we're hearing, being taken offline. It tightens up the UK CO2 market, as we've discussed on air. We've spoken with people like Chris Carson from Carbonic Solutions. We've had all those exclusives online. Please do go and find out for yourself. But yeah, I had to pick this big story for the UK CO2 business, and obviously the wider context in Europe with tightening supply.
And no doubt a story will continue to follow on the gasworld website.
I think it will. I think it will.
And your final pick, another CO2 story, but very different to the previous ones. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, this is an interesting story. The Northern Lights project, I believe it's called. Yes. Here we're talking about kind of cross-border transportation of CO2. So we're talking about almost a logistical point of view, but I think this is really significant because we're talking about actually moving it and being able to hopefully negate some of the issues we've had with CO2 on a locality basis. It's been hailed as a groundbreaking development in the industry, I believe, because it's helping to open the market for cross-border CO2 transport and storage.
Well, Rob, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. We have to suppose we better get ready for this webinar coming up.
We do, but I would just urge everybody, all of these topics, we've got some great coverage online. In print, we'll have our CO2 summit in Austria in March, early March, so pick up all that discussion there. We've just, of course, come back from Chicago with that CO2 summit, and yeah, we'll be in MENA in Abu Dhabi, actually, in the UAE in December. So lots of different ways to access all of these stories.
Absolutely, so do be sure to check that out, and we'll see you in Q4 for our next Editors Picks.